The universe was never meant to care. In the endless dark where Azathoth dreams and Cthulhu waits beneath dead oceans, existence follows one rule. You do not matter. No gods judge you. No fate guides you. No purpose saves you. Only silence and the slow collapse of sanity. But then, something impossible happens. The void reacts. Not with terror, not with madness. With emotion. Rot begins to spread across dead worlds, but it doesn't destroy. It welcomes. Flesh decays, yet lives. Minds break, yet find comfort in the ruin. At the same time, across forgotten stars, something awakens in the cold. Rage. Creatures that never knew conflict begin to slaughter, not for survival, but for meaning. And for the first time, the universe is no longer indifferent. It is being changed. Because two gods have arrived who should not exist here. Nurgle and Khorne. One brings a gift. One brings a challenge. And both bring something far more dangerous than death. Purpose. The edge of observable reality. A research station orbiting a rogue planet in the Kuiper Belt. December 2157. Dr. Elise Camara floated in the observation deck, her gloved hand pressed against the reinforced glass. Outside, an infinite ocean of stars stretched in every direction, cold, silent, indifferent. She exhaled slowly, watching her breath fog the interior of her helmet. She tapped the holographic interface. Three-dimensional maps of distant galaxies bloomed before her eyes, pulsing with data streams. We've been listening for so long, searching for meaning in the void. What if the answer is that there is no answer? What if we're just noise? Behind her, the monitoring systems hummed, a soft, rhythmic pulse that had become the soundtrack of her isolation. 16 months alone. 16 months cataloging dead signals from dead worlds. Her fingers trembled slightly as she zoomed into Sector 7 Gamma, not from cold, from something else, a sensation she couldn't name, like standing at the edge of a cliff she couldn't see. The console chirped. Station Outpost 9, this is Central Command, the voice crackled through static. We're detecting anomalous readings in your sector. Confirm status. Elise leaned forward, her pulse quickening. Central, this is Outpost 9. I'm seeing it too. Multiple systems showing. Distortions. It's not interference. It's... She stopped. The star map flickered. Then it moved. Not like data refreshing. Like something alive shifting beneath the surface of space itself. That's impossible. Space doesn't move. Space doesn't. Her stomach dropped. She gripped the console edge so hard her knuckles went white inside the gloves. Deep Space Observatory, Cassiopeia Sector. The same moment, 4,000 light-years away. Dr. Yuki Tanaka wasn't looking at stars anymore. He was staring at something else. He rewound the recording for the 17th time, frame by frame. The telescope feed showed a spiral galaxy, NGC 891. Except in frame 4892, something changed. The galaxy shuddered. Not collapsed, not exploded. Shuddered. Like skin recoiling from a touch. In 40 years of astrophysics, I've never seen spacetime do that. Gravity doesn't flinch. His assistant, Chen, appeared in the doorway. Professor, you need to see the other feeds. I'm busy. All of them, Professor, every observatory, every telescope pointed at deep space. They're all recording the same thing. Tanaka turned slowly. Chen's face was pale, not the pallor of fear, the pallor of realization, of understanding something that shouldn't be understood. Tanaka pulled up the global network feed, hundreds of observatories, thousands of data points. Every single one showed the same anomaly. Reality wasn't cracking. It was festering. Nowhere, everywhere, the center of all things, the court of Azathoth. There are no words for this place, No measurements, no time. Only the blind idiot god, sleeping at the center of creation, while flute players dance around him, keeping him in his dream. If Azathoth were to think, which he does not, he might notice something, a discordant note in the flutes, a rhythm that doesn't belong. But Azathoth does not think. He only is. And yet, one of the flute players stops, just for a fraction of a moment. The note wavers. The universe hiccups. Somewhere, a star dies 3 seconds before it was supposed to. Somewhere else, a child is born already knowing the taste of rot. The flute player resumes, but its hands shake. Not with fear, cosmic entities don't fear, but with something new, something it has never felt before. Awareness of wrongness. A boardroom in Tokyo, a slave auction in Damascus, a university lecture hall in Cambridge, all at once. Nyarlathotep wears 1,000 faces. Today, he wears the face of a sharply dressed consultant giving a presentation on market disruption. He clicks to the next slide. Graphs showing economic collapse. Audience members shift uncomfortably in their seats. But Nyarlathotep isn't paying attention to them. Something has changed, not in Thai's world in the substrate beneath it. The cosmic order has an irritation. For the first time in millennia, the crawling chaos feels something approaching. Curiosity. No, stronger than that. Amusement. The corner of his mouth twitches upward. A board member raises his hand. Mr. Slate, are you suggesting complete economic restructuring? Nyarlathotep turns, his smile widening just slightly too far. I'm suggesting, he says softly, that what's coming will make economic systems seem quaint. He closes his laptop. He walks out of the boardroom. The second he crosses the threshold, he's somewhere else entirely, standing on an ice field beneath a green-black sky. Before him, space itself seems to bubble. Interesting, the universe is developing an infection. Survey ship Meridian, approaching planet K339, 3 days after the first anomaly. Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge, staring at the viewscreen. His jaw was clenched so tight his teeth ached. His eyes were wide, unblinking, the kind of look soldiers get when they see something that breaks their understanding of war. Captain, Lieutenant Shaw whispered beside him, that can't be right. The scans must be malfunctioning. Webb didn't answer, he couldn't. On the screen, planet K339 rotated slowly. 3 days ago, it had been a barren ice world, dead, catalogued, unremarkable. Now, the oceans weren't frozen anymore. They were moving. Not waves, not currents. The entire ocean was one thick, viscous thing, green-brown sludge that pulsed like a heartbeat, and floating in it. Shaw made a small sound, not quite a gasp, not quite a retch. Life where there should be none, life that looks happy. Creatures, if you could call them that, writhed in the sludge, bloated, cancerous, covered in boils and tumors, but they weren't dying. They were thriving. Webb zoomed in the camera. One of the creatures rolled in the thick ocean, exposing its underbelly. Dozens of eyes, human eyes, blinked across its surface. And it was smiling. All of its mouths were smiling. Get Dr. Voss, Webb managed. Tell her we need a full biological assessment. And Shaw. Sir. Prep the quarantine protocols. Whatever that is, it stays on that planet. Shaw nodded and left. Webb kept staring. This isn't evolution. This isn't mutation. This is redesign. Something is remaking life itself. The sludge pulsed again. And somewhere in its depths, something vast and kind turned its attention toward the ship. Webb felt it, a warmth spreading through his chest, comfort, acceptance. He staggered backward, hand clutching his sternum. No, he whispered, no, no, no. Mining colony Theta 7, outer rim, the same hour. Foreman Liu was checking inventory logs when the screaming started. He dropped his datapad and ran toward the mining pit. His boots pounded against metal grating. Emergency lights flashed red. Accident has to be an accident. Cave-in, equipment failure, please just be equipment failure. He reached the pit edge and looked down. His legs went weak. He grabbed the railing to keep from falling. The miners were killing each other. Not with tools, not with weapons. With their hands. Stop, Liu screamed into his comm. Security to Pit 7, Code Red, stop them. No one stopped. Below, Engineer Kovac, gentle Kovac, who showed Liu pictures of his grandchildren every morning, had his hands wrapped around another miner's throat. His face wasn't twisted in rage. It was joyful. Liu watched as Kovac squeezed tighter, laughing, actually laughing, blood running between his fingers, eyes wide with something that looked almost like ecstasy. Another miner tackled Kovac from behind. They rolled, grappling, tearing at each other. They're not angry. They're not fighting to defend themselves. They're fighting because they want to. More miners poured into the pit, from other sections, from the barracks, even the administrative staff. All of them running toward the violence like children toward a playground. Liu backed away from the edge, his breath coming in short gasps. He fumbled for his comm. Central Command, this is Colony Theta 7. We have a situation. The entire workforce has gone insane. There. A hand clamped down on his shoulder. Liu spun. Security Chief Ramos stood behind him, blood splattered across her uniform. Her eyes gleamed with something ancient and terrible. It's not insanity, Liu, she said, her voice low and reverent. It's purpose. For the first time in my life, I understand what I was made for. She pulled a knife from her belt. Liu ran. Behind him, Ramos laughed, a sound like breaking glass and grinding steel. The space between spaces, where the old ones dream. They are vast, they are ancient, they are utterly indifferent to mortal concerns. But now, something is wrong. Not wrong like an eclipse, not wrong like a planetary alignment. Wrong like infection. Across the universe, beings that had slept for eons begin to stir, not waking, just shifting, the way a sleeping body shifts away from pain. In the depths of Arlai, Cthulhu's dreaming changes rhythm. In the angles beyond geometry, Yog-Sothoth's awareness contracts. They feel it. Not fear, they don't have fear. But wrongness, dissonance, alien presence. Two forces have entered their universe. Two forces that should not exist here. One that turns death into eternal, loving decay. One that turns peace into glorious, purposeful slaughter. If cosmic entities could speak in this moment, they would say nothing. Because there are no words for what has arrived. Only the slowly dawning realization. The universe has been contaminated. With meaning. Dr. Kamara floats in her observation deck, watching the stars. One by one, they begin to change. Some turn green, festering with impossible life. Others burn red, consumed by eternal war. She presses her hand against the glass. And whispers, "What have we become?" Ash fell without heat. Skies twisted above a silent sea of stars. Nothing spoke, yet something watched. It began with a feeling. Not pain, not fear. Something softer. A whisper spread across the void, slow as rot. It touched worlds long lost to reason. It brushed minds that once knew only dread. Where madness ruled, a strange calm took root. Far beyond light, in a place where angles refused to stay still, a cult knelt before shapes they could not name. Their chants once broke their own thoughts. Their prayers once peeled their sanity apart. Now they paused. One of them lowered his head. "I feel warm," he said. The others did not scream. They did not tear at their skin. Instead, they listened. A presence lingered near them, heavy, gentle, endless. Nurgle had arrived. His gift was not decay alone. Flesh still rotted, bones still bent, time still ate all things. Yet now those who suffered no longer resisted. They accepted. A woman with too many eyes looked at her hands as they melted. Once she would have begged for death. Now she smiled. "This is okay," she whispered. Around her, others nodded. Pain did not vanish, it changed. Each wound felt like a bond. Each sickness felt like a sign. They were part of something greater, something that cared. This broke a rule older than stars. The cosmos had always been cold. It gave nothing. It took everything. Minds that saw too much fell apart because nothing mattered. But Nurgle changed that. He gave meaning to suffering. And meaning is dangerous. Across the deep void, ancient watchers stirred. Massive shapes drifted in dark oceans between stars. Their thoughts were slow. Their hunger was endless. They did not care for life. They did not hate. They did not love. They simply were. Yet now something felt wrong. Creatures that once cowered before them no longer fled. A small being covered in sores and smiling wide stepped toward one such horror. "I belong," it said. The great thing paused. It did not understand. That word should not exist here. Belonging had no place in the endless void. Still the feeling spread. It seeped into forgotten cities. It filled cracked temples. It grew inside minds shaped by terror. Despair began to fade. Not into hope. Into comfort. That was worse. But elsewhere another force rose. Where Nurgle soothed, Khorne burned. Silence shattered in a place where nothing once moved. A deep trench, older than memory, housed creatures that never fought. They drifted blind, slow, uncaring. Now they turned. Something new filled them. Rage. Claws that once lay still began to tear. Jaws that only opened to feed now snapped with fury. Limbs struck at anything close. The ocean turned red. Khorne had reached them. He roared without sound, and the universe listened. Conflict spread like fire. A being made of shifting flesh lashed out at its own kind. Another answered. Soon, the deep became a war zone. For the first time, there were winners. And losers. This had never been. The cosmos did not choose sides. It did not judge. It did not reward. Now it did. Khorne forced it to. A titan rose from the trench, its body torn but still strong. It crushed a rival beneath its weight. Something new filled its mind. Victory. The concept took hold. More followed. Battle became purpose. Pain became proof. To exist now meant to fight. Stars flickered as distant beings felt the shift. Creatures that once drifted without thought began to clash. Claws met claws. Energy tore through space. Silent giants now screamed in unseen ways. The universe changed shape. It bent toward struggle. Khorne laughed. Between these forces, reality strained. On one side, decay brought peace. On the other, war gave meaning. Both broke the same truth. The cosmos should not care. It should not comfort. It should not reward. Yet now it did both. And that drew attention. In a place where time had no order, a figure stood. He wore many faces. Each one smiled. Each one lied. Nyarlathotep watched. He had seen countless worlds fall. He had guided minds into madness. He had whispered truths thought. He broke all who heard them. He understood the rules. There were no stories here. No heroes. No villains. Only endings. Yet something had changed. Narrative had entered the void. He walked through a broken sky and stepped into a field of rot. Nurgle's domain pulsed with life and decay. Creatures laughed as they fell apart. They hugged each other as their forms melted. Nyarlathotep tilted his head. "This is new," one of his faces said. Nurgle loomed before him, vast and endless. His voice was soft, yet it filled all space. "They are happy," Nurgle said. "They should not be," Nyarlathotep replied. A swarm of flies buzzed between them. Each one carried a tiny echo of joy. "Why deny them peace?" Nurgle asked. "Because peace is a lie," Nyarlathotep said. He stepped closer. The ground squished beneath his feet. "This place runs on truth," he continued. "Truth says nothing matters." Nurgle chuckled. "Then let them believe something else." Nyarlathotep's smile widened. "Belief shapes reality," he said. "You are rewriting the rules." Nurgle did not answer. He did not need to. Nyarlathotep left. He moved through layers of existence until he reached a battlefield. Khorne's domain roared with endless war. Blood flowed like rivers. Steel clashed against bone. Creatures fought without rest. Nyarlathotep walked through the chaos untouched. A massive warrior turned toward him. Its eyes burned with fury. "Fight," it demanded. Nyarlathotep shook his head. "You fight because you must," he said, "not because you choose." The warrior roared and charged. Nyarlathotep raised a hand. The creature froze. "This is not your nature," he whispered. For a moment, the warrior hesitated. Confusion flickered. Then rage returned stronger than before. Khorne's presence pressed down like a storm. "Strength defines all," Khorne's voice boomed. Nyarlathotep looked up. "And who defined that?" he asked. Silence did not follow. Instead, the battle grew louder. Khorne did not care for questions. Only answers written in blood. Nyarlathotep sighed. "You two are changing things," he said. He turned away. "This cannot stand." The breaking point came quickly. Across the cosmos, two forces clashed without touching. Comfort spread. Conflict rose. Reality bent between them. Stars dimmed. Time stuttered. In one place, a cult sang with joy as their bodies fell apart. In another, titans tore each other to pieces in endless war. Both sides believed they had found truth. Both were wrong. Nyarlathotep returned to the center of it all. A space where nothing should exist. He stood alone. Then he was not alone. Voices echoed around him, not from mouths but from the fabric of reality itself. Old things watched, ancient minds stirred. They did not speak in words. Yet he understood. Something must be done. Nyarlathotep raised his hand. "Stories do not belong here," he said. The void listened. "Meaning leads to hope," he continued. "Hope leads to defiance." His faces shifted. "We cannot allow that." Far away, Nurgle's laughter slowed. Khorne's roar faltered. Both felt it. Nyarlathotep began to act. He did not attack. He did not destroy. Instead, he whispered. His voice spread faster than decay. It cut deeper than any blade. He reached the minds touched by Nurgle. "You are not special," he said. A smiling cultist paused. "You are not loved." The warmth faded. "You are not part of anything." The smile cracked. Pain returned. Not the old pain. Worse. Meaningless pain. The kind that has no reason. One by one, they broke again. Nurgle's gift weakened. Nyarlathotep turned to the battlefields. "You do not matter," he told the warriors. A titan froze mid-strike. "Victory means nothing." The creature trembled. "Defeat means nothing." Its enemy lowered its claws. The fire of rage dimmed. Khorne's hold slipped. Fight slowed. Then stopped. Nyarlathotep's whispers spread everywhere. Comfort shattered. Conflict dissolved. The universe began to reset. Cold returned. Empty returned. True silence came back. Nurgle watched his children fall into despair once more. He did not rage. He did not resist. He simply waited. Khorne saw his battles fade. He growled but did not strike. Both knew this was not over. Nyarlathotep stood in the void again. Alone. Or so it seemed. He smiled. Balance restored, one face said. Another frowned. Or delayed, it added. Far beyond sight, something shifted. Not Nurgle. Not Khorne. Something else. The cosmos had tasted meaning. Even if it faded, the memory remained. And memory can grow. Nyarlathotep looked into the endless dark. For the first time, he felt something close to concern. Not fear. Never fear. But interest. Because now a question existed. And questions lead to stories. He turned away. The void remained silent. For now, stars shattered under silent thunder. Endless dark bent around unseen pressure. Thought itself trembled. Khorne had made his choice. No warning came. No signal marked the moment. Only a shift. Across battlefields carved in. To reality, warriors stopped mid-strike. Blades froze inches from flesh. Roars cut off like breath stolen away. Something bigger had taken notice. Khorne stood at the edge of everything. Before him lay no enemy. No army waited. No wall blocked his path. Only a vast, shapeless absence stretched outward. It did not move. It did not breathe. It did not exist in any way that could be measured. This was where all things ended. This was where all things began. At the center of that nothing sat a presence beyond shape, beyond name. Azathoth. Not a god of will. Not a ruler. Not a thinker. The blind dreamer. Reality itself was his sleep. Every star, every scream, every drop of blood dreamed into being. Khorne stared into that formless center. Then he laughed. If it exists, it can bleed. The words struck nothing. Yet they echoed everywhere. A weapon formed in his hand, not metal, not flame. It was the idea of violence made real. He stepped forward. The universe resisted. Space folded, distance stretched, time twisted to slow him down, laws tried to hold. Khorne broke them. Each step cracked existence like glass under weight. The closer he moved, the less sense things made. Angles shifted, light bent into shapes that had no meaning. Sound reversed itself. Still he advanced. There was no fear in him. Only purpose. Behind him, war followed. Entire regions of reality turned into battlefields. Creatures who had never known conflict now tore each other apart. Stars clashed like weapons. Black holes collided like beasts. Khorne dragged war into the heart of creation. Azathoth did not react. There was no eye to open. No mind to notice. Only a deep, endless hum. A sound older than time. Khorne raised his weapon. He swung. The strike landed nowhere. And everywhere. Reality screamed. For a brief moment the dream shook. Stars flickered out. Worlds collapsed into dust. Time skipped like a broken record. Khorne grinned. He felt it. Not pain. Not resistance. Something else. A shift. If you can shake, you can fall, he said. He struck again. But far from that impossible clash, something worse began. Nurgle moved quietly. Where Khorne broke, Nurgle changed. He did not aim for flesh. He did not seek minds. He reached deeper. Into concepts. Madness had always been a weapon of the cosmos. It broke those who saw too much. It tore apart identity. It reduced meaning to dust. Nurgle touched it. Gently. Madness softened. It did not vanish. It turned warm. A man stared into a shape that should not exist. Once his mind would have shattered. Now he felt peace. "I understand," he said. He did not. But it felt like he did. That was enough. Entropy followed. Decay had always been cruel. It erased all things. It ended all stories. Nurgle changed that too. Decay became care. A dying star collapsed not in pain but in quiet acceptance. Its end felt like rest. Its destruction felt like purpose fulfilled. Across distant worlds, something stirred. A massive shape beneath an ancient ocean shifted. Cthulhu. His influence had long driven minds into chaos. Dreams of him broke sanity. His presence twisted thought into terror. Now that changed. A human dreamed of the great sleeper. They did not wake screaming. They woke smiling. "He calls to us," the dreamer said. Others listened. Soon they followed. Not out of fear. Out of devotion. Cities formed around whispers. Groups gathered to share dreams. Songs rose where screams once echoed. Cthulhu's signal had shifted. Not by his will, but by Nurgle's touch. Madness had become belonging. The unknowable had become familiar. And that was wrong. But the cosmos noticed. Not with anger, not with fear, but with correction. Reality had rules. Not laws like gravity. Deeper than that. Truths that held everything together. One truth stood above all. Nothing matters. Nurgle had broken it. Khorne had challenged it. Now the system responded. It did not attack. It erased. Meaning began to fade. Occultists praising Cthulhu stopped mid-chant. "What was I saying?" they asked. The words slipped away. Purpose dissolved. Nearby, a group that once found comfort in decay felt a strange emptiness. The warmth vanished. The sense of belonging broke apart. They looked at each other with blank eyes. "Why are we here?" one whispered. No answer came. Causality followed. Events no longer linked. A man lifted his hand. It moved, but he did not know why. A star exploded, but nothing had caused it. Actions lost reasons. Reasons lost effects. Everything drifted. Identity collapsed next. A warrior who had fought under Khorne forgot his rage. He looked at his weapon. "What is this?" he asked. He did not know his name. He did not know his purpose. He simply existed. And even that began to slip. The universe was rejecting the change. Not violently. Quietly. Like a body pushing out poison. But Khorne felt it first. His battlefield thinned. Fighters stopped fighting. Not from peace. From absence. They forgot why they fought. They forgot who they were. Rage could not survive without a self to hold it. Khorne roared. His voice shook what remained of structure. "Fight," he demanded. Some tried. Most could not. The idea of conflict lost shape. Victory meant nothing. Defeat meant nothing. Khorne's power faltered. For the first time, he felt something new. Not fear. Something colder. Irrelevance. But Nurgle felt it next. His followers lost their smiles. Their comfort faded. Not into pain. Into nothing. They did not suffer. They did not belong. They simply stopped feeling. Even decay lost meaning. Rot no longer comforted. It no longer hurt. It just happened. Nurgle's laughter slowed. He watched as his gifts dissolved. Not taken. Not destroyed. Ignored. And that was worse. He too felt it. Irrelevance. But at the center of all things, Khorne struck again. His weapon crashed into the dream. This time nothing answered. No flicker. No shift. No reaction. Azathoth remained. Unmoved. Unaware. Khorne paused. His grip tightened. For the first time, doubt brushed his mind. Not as a thought. As an absence. What if this fight did not exist? He growled and forced the feeling away. I exist, he said. The words echoed. But weaker. Around him, reality thinned. Edges blurred. The concept of Khorne itself trembled. He swung again. The strike passed through nothing. Not resisted. Not absorbed. Simply not acknowledged. That was worse than defeat. But elsewhere, Nurgle reached deeper. He tried to hold onto his changes. He pushed comfort into madness again. He poured meaning into decay. But the universe refused. Each attempt slipped away. Like trying to hold water with open hands. He slowed. Not from weakness. From realization. This place does not want us, he said. His voice carried no sadness. Only truth. But between them something stirred. Not Azathoth. Not Khorne. Not Nurgle. A watcher. A speaker. A liar. Nyarlathotep returned. Nyarlathotep. He stepped into the fading battlefield. Khorne turned toward him. You, Khorne said. Nyarlathotep smiled. This was always going to happen, he replied. Khorne raised his weapon. You think this ends? He asked. Nyarlathotep tilted his head. It already has, he said. Khorne swung. The weapon passed through Nyarlathotep like mist. I am not your enemy, Nyarlathotep said. I am the reminder. Khorne snarled. I do not forget, he said. Nyarlathotep laughed. You are forgetting right now. Khorne paused. The thought slipped. He could not hold it. That angered him more. But Nyarlathotep turned to Nurgle. You tried to give them comfort, he said. Nurgle nodded. They needed it. They are not meant to need anything, Nyarlathotep replied. Nurgle watched his followers fade into empty shells. They will return, he said. No, Nyarlathotep said softly, they will not. Silence stretched. Then Nyarlathotep spread his arms. This is the truth of this place, he said. No meaning, no story, no purpose. He stepped back. You tried to change that. He smiled wider. And now the system is correcting you. But reality continued to collapse around them. Names lost shape. Forms lost edges. Even space lost direction. Up, down, near, far, none held meaning. Khorne felt himself slipping. His rage still burned. But it had no place to exist. No one to fight. No reason to strike. He roared again. The sound did not carry. Nurgle reached for his domain. It was gone. Not destroyed. Unrecognized. His presence thinned. But Nyarlathotep watched it all. His many faces showed different thoughts. Some amused. Some curious. One almost concerned. You should not be here, he said. Khorne looked at him. I am here, he said. For now, Nyarlathotep replied. Nurgle spoke next. What happens when we are gone, he asked. Nyarlathotep did not answer at once. He looked toward the center. Toward the blind dreamer. Azathoth. Nothing changes, he said at last. That is the point. Yet something strange lingered. Even as meaning faded, traces remained. A memory of purpose, a hint of feeling. Small, faint, but real. Nyarlathotep noticed. He always noticed. That should not be there, one of his faces whispered. Khorne heard nothing. Nurgle felt nothing. But the trace persisted. The universe rejected them. Still it remembered. And memory can grow. Khorne took one last step forward. Toward Azathoth. His form flickered. His weapon faded. Still he moved. If it exists, he began. The words broke apart. He could not finish. The concept of bleed no longer held meaning. He tried again. Nothing came. For the first time, Khorne fell silent. Nurgle reached out once more. Not to infect. Not to change. Just to touch. His hand passed through what remained of his domain. No response. No warmth. He lowered it. Interesting, he said quietly. Then he too began to fade. Nyarlathotep stood alone again. Or close enough. The chaos god slipped from relevance. Not dead. Not defeated. Just removed. He looked at the empty space they left behind. Order restored, one face said. Another shook its head. Not quite. He glanced once more at Azathoth. The dream continued. Unchanged. Yet deep within that endless sleep, something tiny shifted. Not enough to notice. Not enough to matter. But enough to exist. Nyarlathotep smiled. That is new, he said. He turned and walked into the void. Behind him, reality settled. Cold. Silent. Meaningless. As it should be. For now. Silence stretched across broken stars. Time drifted without direction. Nothing moved, yet everything shifted. A war had begun. Not with armies. Not with weapons. But with ideas. Two truths clashed in ways that should not happen. On one side stood the chaos gods, beings of force, drive, emotion. They shaped existence through will. They demanded reaction. They fed on purpose. On the other side lay the cosmic void, cold, vast, uncaring. It did not push. It did not pull. It did not answer. It simply was. These forces could not meet. Yet they did. And the result was something that should never exist. Khorne moved first. Not because he planned. Because he could not stop. He was rage given form, action without pause, a storm that never ended. The void did not answer him. That was the problem. Khorne stood in a place where direction meant nothing. No ground held his weight. No sky hung above him. No distance separated anything. Still, he raised his weapon. I fight, he said. The words fell flat. There was no echo. No resistance. He swung. The strike cut through nothing. Not air. Not space. Not even emptiness. It landed nowhere. Khorne frowned. He swung again. Harder. Faster. Again nothing. No impact. No effect. No change. His strikes had no target. The void did not block. It did not dodge. It did not even exist in a way that allowed contact. Khorne growled. You stand before me, he said. The void did not agree. Without agreement, there was no battle. Khorne's entire being pushed forward. He needed conflict. He needed opposition. But the cosmos offered none. Not because it resisted. Because it did not care. This was worse than defeat. This was absence. Khorne roared and struck again. Each blow shook fragments of reality nearby. Stars cracked, space bent, small things broke. Yet the true target remained untouched. Unreachable. Unreal in the way that mattered. "You cannot ignore me," Khorne said. The void did not respond. Because it could not. Because there was nothing to respond. And that was the truth Khorne could not break. You cannot fight something that does not accept the fight. Far from that endless failure, something different took root. Nurgle did not strike. He planted. Where Khorne burned out, Nurgle seeped in. His influence moved through cracks left by the clash, tiny fractures in reality where rules had weakened. Into those spaces, he placed something new. Meaning. Not grand meaning. Not truth that shaped all things. Small pieces. Localized. Fragile. But real. A dying world felt it first. A small planet drifted around a fading star. Its surface was cracked. Its oceans had dried long ago. Life there had been reduced to scraps. One being remained. It crawled across dust, its body failing. Before, it would have simply ended. No purpose. No reason. Now something changed. "I don't want to die," it thought. The idea had never formed before. It stopped moving. Not from weakness. From choice. That was new. It looked at the sky. The dying star dimmed further. "I matter," it said. The words held no cosmic truth. The universe did not agree. But within that small space, they were real. Nurgle watched. He did not smile. He observed. His gift had taken root. Elsewhere, another pocket formed. A human mind brushed against something vast and terrible. Cthulhu. Once such contact shattered thought. Dreams turned into nightmares. Identity broke apart under pressure. Now something else happened. The human trembled. Fear came. But it did not break them. It shaped them. "I see you," they whispered. Instead of madness, devotion grew. They did not lose themselves. They built something new. A reason. A purpose. They began to gather others. Not to warn. To share. A small group formed. They spoke of dreams. They spoke of meaning. They spoke of belonging. This was not how the mythos worked. But here, in this pocket, it did. Nurgle's influence spread further. Not wide. Not fast. Deeper. Each pocket became its own small reality. A place where rules bent. Where feeling existed. Where suffering meant something. One world felt joy. Another felt grief. Another felt hope. Hope was the most dangerous. A child looked at a broken sky and believed it could be fixed. There was no proof. No logic. Only belief. And that belief held. Not everywhere. Just there. That was enough. The cosmos reacted. Not with force. With correction. These pockets did not belong. They contradicted the core truth. Nothing matters. So reality tried to erase them. Edges blurred. Events lost order. People forgot why they felt. But something resisted. Nurgle's touch held the structure together. And, not perfectly, not fully, but enough. The pockets flickered. Yet they did not vanish. This created something new. Localized reality. Small zones where meaning existed. Islands in an endless sea of indifference. Khorne felt them. His rage, fading against the void, found these pockets. Here conflict made sense. Here battle had meaning. He turned toward one. A world where warriors fought for survival. They bled. They struggled. They cared who won. Khorne stepped into it. The moment he arrived, the air burned. The fighters paused. They felt him, not as a shape, as a force. "Fight," Khorne said. This time the word worked. They roared. Weapons clashed. Blood spilled. Victory mattered. Defeat mattered. Khorne felt strength return. Here the void did not rule. Here purpose existed. He laughed. "Now this is war," he said. But the pocket was small. Too small. Beyond its edges, the void waited. Cold. Silent. Ready to erase. In another pocket, Nurgle watched a group of beings comfort each other. They were sick. They were dying. Yet they held hands. "We will get through this," one said. That sentence should not exist. There was no through. There was only end. Yet here the idea held. Nurgle felt something close to satisfaction. Not pride. Not joy. Just confirmation. "This works," he said. The tension grew. Pockets formed. The void erased. Nurgle reinforced. The cosmos resisted. A balance began to appear. Not stable. Not safe. But real. Nyarlathotep returned. Nyarlathotep. He stepped between pockets, watching them flicker. His faces shifted. Some smiled. Some frowned. "This should not be happening," one said. "But it is," another replied. He entered a pocket where a small group told stories around a fire. Stories. That was new. A child spoke of heroes. Of struggle. Of victory. Nyarlathotep listened. Then he laughed. "Do you think this matters?" he asked. The group looked at him. One stood. "It matters to us," they said. Nyarlathotep paused. That answer held weight. Not cosmic weight. Local weight. But it was enough to exist. "Interesting," he said. He moved to another pocket. Khorne stood at its center, covered in blood. War raged around him. "This is how it should be," Khorne said. Nyarlathotep shook his head. "No," he replied, "this is how you want it to be." Khorne turned. "And it works," he said. Nyarlathotep gestured outward. "Only here," he said. Beyond the pocket, nothing waited. Khorne looked. His rage flickered. The edge of the pocket shimmered. Reality thinned. The void pressed in. "You cannot spread this," Nyarlathotep said. "I will," Khorne replied. Nyarlathotep smiled. "Try." Nurgle joined them. His form filled the space with soft decay. "These places can grow," he said. Nyarlathotep tilted his head. "Or collapse," he replied. Nurgle looked at a nearby group caring for each other. "They will hold," he said. Nyarlathotep looked at them too. "For a time," he said. The war continued. Not across space. Across meaning. Khorne tried to push conflict outward. Nurgle tried to deepen feeling. The cosmos tried to erase both. Pockets formed and vanished. Some lasted moments. Others endured longer. Each one left a trace. A memory. Even when erased, something remained. A hint that meaning had once existed there. That hint made future pockets easier to form. The system strained. Khorne struck at the edge of a pocket. His weapon hit the boundary. This time it met resistance. Not the void. The pocket itself. Meaning gave it shape. That shape could be broken. He grinned. "If it can be shaped, it can be shattered," he said. He struck again. Cracks spread. The pocket trembled. Inside, people felt it. "What's happening?" one asked. Fear rose. Hope pushed back. "We hold together," another said. The crack slowed. Khorne paused. This was new. They resisted. Not with force. With belief. Khorne frowned. He struck harder. The crack widened. The pocket flickered. Then stabilized. Not fully. But enough. Khorne stepped back. He did not understand this. Nurgle moved closer. "They hold because they feel," he said. Khorne growled. "Feeling is weakness," he said. Nurgle shook his head. "Feeling is structure," he replied. Nyarlathotep watched. "And structure can be broken," he said. The void pressed in. Edges of multiple pockets began to collapse. Reality rejected them harder. Causality broke inside them. Events stopped making sense. A man spoke before thinking. A child remembered things that never happened. Identity blurred. People forgot who they were. The pockets shook. Nurgle pushed more meaning into them. "Stay," he whispered. Some held. Others collapsed. Those that fell left echoes. One pocket stood stronger than the rest. A place where suffering and hope balanced. People hurt. They cared. They struggled. They believed. Nurgle focused on it. Khorne watched it. Nyarlathotep studied it. "This one might last," Nurgle said. "For a while," Nyarlathotep replied. Khorne stepped forward. "I will test it," he said. "And why?" Nyarlathotep did not stop him. He wanted to see. Khorne entered. War followed. Conflict rose. People fought. But they also protected. They chose when to strike. They chose when to stop. Khorne felt something strange. Control. Not pure rage. Directed action. He hesitated. That had never happened before. Nurgle felt it too. "This is new," he said. Nyarlathotep smiled. "Yes," he said, "it is." The pocket did not collapse. It changed. Conflict and care mixed. Pain and hope balanced. Meaning deepened. The void pressed harder. But the pocket held. Not because it was strong. Because it adapted. Nyarlathotep looked at the others. "You see the problem," he said. Khorne said nothing. Nurgle remained still. "If this spreads," Nyarlathotep continued, "the entire system changes." Khorne gripped his weapon. "Good," he said. Nurgle nodded. "Yes," he said. Nyarlathotep's smile faded. "That cannot happen," he said. He raised his hand. Whispers spread again. "You do not matter," he told the pocket. This time the words met resistance. A voice answered. "We matter to each other." Nyarlathotep paused. That answer held. Not perfectly, but enough. His whisper weakened. The pocket flickered, but did not break. Nyarlathotep lowered his hand. "That is unexpected," he said. The war that could not exist continued. Not with victory. Not with defeat. With persistence. Khorne could not fight the void. Nurgle could not fully change it. The cosmos could not fully erase them. All sides remained. Locked in a state that should not be. Far beyond all of it, the dream continued. Azathoth. Unaware. Unchanged. Yet within that endless sleep, small patterns formed. Not large enough to matter. Not strong enough to shift everything. But present. And growing. Nyarlathotep stood at the edge of the strongest pocket. He watched the people inside. They suffered. They hoped. They fought. They cared. He spoke softly. "This is how stories begin," he said. Khorne stood beside him. "This is how wars begin," Khorne said. Nurgle joined them. "This is how life begins," Nurgle said. Nyarlathotep looked at both. "This is how the end begins," he replied. The void pressed closer. The pockets pushed back. The balance held. For now. Because the war could not exist. Yet it did. And that made all the difference. Silence did not return. It lingered, yes. It stretched across dying stars and empty gulfs, yet something within it had shifted. The quiet no longer felt complete. It felt interrupted. The universe had tried to erase the anomaly. It had pushed against meaning, against purpose, against emotion. It had broken pockets of reality, dissolved identity, and stripped causality down to raw existence. But something remained. Not whole. Not strong. Fragments. Tiny, stubborn fragments. And fragments were enough. At the edge of a collapsed pocket, a world drifted. It had no name. Names required memory, and memory had mostly failed here. Still the world turned. Cracked land stretched across its surface. Black oceans lay still, thick as oil. Above, alien stars burned in shapes that hurt to follow. Once, this place had been nothing more than a point in the dream. Now it was something else. Something small. Something wrong. A figure moved across the broken ground. Human. Or close enough. Their body was failing. Skin peeled in slow layers. Veins darkened beneath the surface. Breath came uneven, each inhale weaker than the last. Decay had claimed them. Yet they did not fall. They walked. Step by step. Each movement held effort. Each effort held purpose. That was new. "I'm still here," the figure whispered. The words did not echo. They did not carry. Still they existed. That alone mattered. Far above, the stars shifted. Not in motion. In meaning. Once they had been nothing but distant light. Now they felt like something watching. Not with intent. Not with thought. But with presence. A faint awareness stirred. Not fully formed. Not complete. Just enough to notice. Across the universe, other fragments flickered. A dying creature on a distant moon paused before its end. "I don't want this," it thought. The thought did not change its fate. It still died. But the thought remained. Elsewhere, a being drifting through void space felt a sudden pull. Not gravity. Not force. Attachment. It turned toward something it could not see. "I remember," it said. Memory should not have existed. Yet it did. For a moment. Then it faded. Still, that moment mattered. Nurgle felt it. Not as power. Not as growth. As persistence. His presence had been stripped away. His domains had collapsed. His gifts had been rejected. But not completely. Tiny traces remained. Like spores buried deep in soil. Waiting. "I am still here," he murmured. Not in full. Not in form. But in effect. A wound that comforted. A sickness that bonded. A decay that felt like rest. These ideas lingered. Not everywhere. Just enough. Khorne felt it too. Not as rage. Not as war. As tension. A moment before conflict. A spark. A choice. Somewhere two beings faced each other. They did not attack. They hesitated. Then one struck, not from instinct, from decision. That choice echoed. Khorne stirred. Not fully, not clearly, but enough to feel. Fight, something whispered. The word carried no command, only possibility. The cosmos reacted. Again. Again it tried to correct. Reality bent inward, meaning blurred, identity slipped. But this time, something resisted. Not strongly, not perfectly, but consistently. Each fragment held its place. Not because it was powerful, because it was repeated. The more it appeared, the harder it became to erase. A pattern formed. Nyarlathotep watched. Nyarlathotep. He stood between layers of existence, observing the shift. His many faces showed something new. Not confusion. Not fear. Interest. That should not remain, one face said. Another disagreed. But it does. He moved through the fragments. He saw the human walking across the broken world. He saw the creature resisting death. He saw the moment before conflict. Each one small. Each one wrong. Each one real. Nyarlathotep spoke. You do not matter, he told them. The words reached the human. They stopped. They looked up at the sky. For a moment, doubt flickered. Then they shook their head. I matter to me, they said. The statement held. Weak. Fragile. But unbroken. Nyarlathotep paused. That is new, he said. Far beyond, something vast stirred. Not awake. Not aware. But affected. As a thought. The blind dreamer shifted. Not in thought. Not in intent. In response. The dream changed slightly. Infinitesimal. Impossible to measure. Yet real. Where once there had been pure indifference, now there was something else. A ripple. A distortion. A hint of structure. Not enough to matter. Not enough to define. But enough to exist. The human on the broken world fell to their knees. Their body gave out. Decay had reached its peak. Still they smiled. Not from madness. Not from ignorance. From acceptance. I lived, they said. The statement held weight. Not universal weight. Local weight. But it mattered. They looked at their hands as they broke apart. I'm not alone, they whispered. There was no one near them. Yet the feeling remained. Connection. Nurgle's echo. Above them the stars twisted. A shape formed. Not fully. Not clearly. But enough to notice. Deep beneath a dead ocean on another world, something ancient shifted. Cthulhu. Once his presence drove minds to ruin. Now something brushed against him. Not worship. Not fear. Understanding. A distant mind reached out. I see you, it thought. Cthulhu did not wake. But something changed. His influence bent. Not fully. Not completely. But slightly. Where madness once spread, now a mix formed. Fear. And awe. And something softer. Devotion. The fragments connected. Not directly. Not cleanly. But through repetition. More beings felt. More beings chose. More beings remembered. Each one added weight. The cosmos strained. Correction failed to keep up. Nyarlathotep returned to the broken world. He stood before the nailing human. You will fade, he said. The human nodded. Yes, they replied. You will be forgotten. Maybe. Nyarlathotep leaned closer. Nothing you do matters. The humans smiled wider. It matters to me, they said again. Nyarlathotep studied them. For the first time, he did not answer. Khorne's echo grew stronger. Not as a god. As an idea. Conflict began to reappear. Not everywhere. Not constantly. But in moments. A choice to resist. A choice to act. Each one fed the pattern. Nurgle's echo followed. Comfort in pain. Connection in decay. Acceptance in endings. Together they formed something new. Not chaos. Not order. Something between. The universe adapted. It did not surrender. It did not accept fully. But it changed. The pure void cracked. Not broken. Altered. Small zones formed where meaning held. Not stable. Not permanent. But recurring. Localized reality became a feature. Not an error. Nyarlathotep stood at the edge of one such zone. He looked outward. The void remained vast. Cold. Silent. Yet within it sparks appeared. Tiny. Flickering. Persistent. This is worse, one of his faces said. Another nodded. Yes, it agreed. Because now it can grow. Far beyond all of it, Azathoth's dream continued. Yet within that endless sleep, patterns formed more often. Not controlled. Not directed. But present. Emotion had entered the system. Not fully. Not safely. But undeniably. The human's body finally gave out. They collapsed onto the broken ground. Their form dissolved. Yet something remained. Not a soul. Not a spirit. A trace. A memory of meaning. That trace joined others. Together they formed something faint. A network. A web of small truths. I mattered. I chose. I felt. Each statement weak alone. Stronger together. Cthulhu stirred again. Not waking. Not rising. But shifting. His influence changed further. Dreams spread across distant minds. Not all broke. Some he endured. Some understood. That understanding changed them. And through them, reality. Nyarlathotep stepped back. He watched the spread. He could stop some. He could erase others. But not all. Not anymore. It has begun, he said. No one answered. No one needed to. Khorne's echo spoke once more. Not as a command. As a truth. To exist is to struggle. Nurgle's echo followed. To struggle is to belong. The statements held. Not everywhere. But enough. The universe did not collapse. It did not reset. It changed. Slowly. Painfully. Irreversibly. Indifference remained. But it was no longer absolute. Meaning existed. Small. Fragile. Growing. Final image. A broken world beneath alien stars. The ground cracked, the sky twisted, light bent in ways that made no sense. At the center, a human knelt. Their body decayed. Their form failed. Yet they smiled. Not insane. Not unaware. Certain. Above them something vast stirred. Not in hunger. Not in rage. But in confusion. And that was worse than madness. Because now, the universe did not just exist. It felt.